service. Do you like the beet burger?
What do you give it?
I'm gonna cook for my family for an entire week using only this cookbook. Stick around to see what we think.
I like it.
No, ew.
I recommend doing this over top of your sink in case you're messy like I am. It takes a second for the flavor to come in, eh?
Too dry.
And go for a second bite. This is a bad recipe.
But it's my kind of dinner.
This looks like shredded wheat.
The whole thing.
The whole chili?
Yeah.
With the seeds? Oh! Ah! Greetings everyone and welcome back to PB with Jay. Here on the channel we focus on whole food, plant-based goodness. And this week I'm cooking recipes exclusively from America's Test Kitchen's Vegan for Everybody. Funny story is that I got a lot of people asking us to do a book by America's Test Kitchen, and so I accidentally picked up this one from the library first. And I was gonna just straight up flame it because the truth is this book, the plant-based meat guide, you could just take any cookbook you own and swap out the meat with Beyond Beef or Impossible Beef or any other faux substitute, because that's essentially all this book is. This book is it should be called the Standard American Test Kitchen is what it should be called, because this is a straight up bypass. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody who is trying to eat plant-based for health reasons or even really taste reasons. This is just kind of a basic book. Don't waste your time or money on it. Crap, get rid of it. This one, on the other hand, seemed a little more promising. What I like about this book is there is a lot of stuff off the top that explains kind of the science behind how this all works. I guess that's what their cookbooks do. This is my first time using an America Test Kitchen book. So they get into a lot of like the reasons why they do everything, and on the top of every single recipe, they do that as well. They go into a real kind of like essay as to how they created this dish and why, from a flavor portfolio and whatnot, which is great if you care about that stuff. Most people probably don't. Let me know in the comments down below if you're apt to read something like that. I did the first couple and then I kind of just didn't care. So a couple notes on this book before we get into it is that it is, it's not whole food plant-based, which is how our family eats. So we're gonna be doing some swaps along the way to adjust for that. If you don't like that kind of thing in a cookbook review video, stop watching right now, because that's how we do it around here. Also, my wife Willie is currently doing a low FODMAP diet, so we're going to be reducing a couple ingredients to help support that, so she can also try a version of this book. So keep in mind, we're grading it on a bit of a curve when it comes to that. Stick around to the end of this video where I can tell you whether or not I think you should buy it, borrow it, or bypass it altogether. This one, bypass. Seriously, it's not worth your time. Before we get into the recipes, I'd like to say hello to a few people who have said hello to us in the comments down below. Tammy and Joey, the vegan lovebirds from Cincinnati. Alicia from Chilliwack, BC, currently living in Riverview, New Brunswick. Jackie from Kipsap, Pennsylvania in Washington State. Tammy from Utah. Sheila from Bloomington, Illinois. Joanna from Brattleboro, Vermont. Lynn from Guelph, Ontario. Aaron from Durham in the United Kingdom. Michelle from Phoenix, Arizona. Tree from Sudbury, Ontario. And Chip from, I don't actually know where Chip is from, they didn't say, but I know where they're from on the internet. They're from our Mighty Network, which is how they got a bump up on this shout out, along with a bunch of other great perks like access to these videos early, and most importantly, our members only network. If you're interested in that, you can get it for the price of a cup of coffee a month. For those that are new to our channel, how we do our rankings of recipes is a tiered system. So S stands for superb, a truly phenomenal dish that we look forward to having again very soon. A means this is great, I'd love to put into the rotation. B is a dish that's fine, it's not great, it's not terrible. If someone else requests it in the future, I'd probably just happily eat it. C is basically I'll finish it, but I would never want this again. And an F is just, this is not worth being in my mouth. I'm gonna go make a peanut butter sandwich because peanut butter sandwiches are awesome. If you like this video and think that YouTube should share it with other people on the internet, please do so. And hit the subscribe button so you can get more stuff like this in the future. All right, now to the recipes. Tonight for dinner, we're making Pinto Bean-Beet burgers.
Try and say that 10 times fast.
That's
what I thought.
Yeah. Wooly picked this one, didn't you?
Annie picked it.
Annie picked it.
Yeah, she said these burgers look good. She doesn't even like burgers. This should be interesting.
So this requires a couple steps, but it shouldn't take too long because you cook these in the frying pan. So we have to heat up some water and some salt in a saucepan, and then we add the bulgur to it. Stand until tender, and then we drain and let it cool slightly.
Drain it, drain it, drain
And then we're gonna, it says to just like kind of spread it out onto a baking sheet so it can just cool down a little bit while you do the rest.
Cool it, cool it, cool it.
I like your song, Wooly.
Just encouraging you.
While that's happening, we are gonna shred up our beets and then mix that together in the food processor with walnuts, basil, garlic, and then the rest of it, I think. One of the interesting ingredients in this recipe is just a jar of baby food, carrots. This is actually carrots and ancient grains, because that's all I had at the store. So one thing that you should know about this book is that they sometimes have ingredients in the description that they don't list in the ingredient list. Stuff like just, salt and pepper and water. So it's nothing major. It's stuff pretty much most people will have. But just if you're doing like your mise en place and you want to have everything ready, just make sure you read through it all completely, because you might be adding stuff at the last second that you weren't expecting if you didn't read through it in advance. And then at the end we mix in some panko breadcrumbs and our bulgur. And then we turn them into patties. And then we cook them on a skillet. This picture has like this beautiful sauce on it. We're just gonna top it regular burger style. It does look like raw beef. It's kind of crazy.
Looks raw.
The flavor is really nice, but it's a little dry, like it's falling apart.
Yeah, I think it needs a binder.
But the flavor, I like the flavor a lot.
It's so dry.
It's not really dry though, it's just
It's pretty dry.
crumbly.
It's pretty dry.
Give it an A because it tastes really good.
Yeah. What's that?
B.
A B? Do you like the flavor at all?
C.
It's going down every time I ask a question. It's kind of falling apart, so just be careful eating it over top of. Want to give it a shot,
It
Annie?
looks like raw meat.
You picked it.
Yeah, it didn't look like this when I picked it. Can't really taste it.
You can't taste it and it doesn't taste like anything?
Yeah, that's good. I think it's an S.
It's an S?
You're crazy.
What makes it an S, Annie? Do you like the flavor?
No. I like the flavor that I can't taste.
I'm so confused by what you mean.
Mom,
I don't know what that means.
She likes the flavor she doesn't taste?
You like that it doesn't taste like anything?
All right, cool. It takes a second for the flavor to come in, eh? It's not my favorite, like, bean burger we'd made. It's good though, it's not bad, but it's so falling apart. It needs a binder. It needs like flaxseed in there or something. I give this a B+. I didn't hate it.
Oh, it's
I
actually,
didn't love it. I will happily eat the leftovers, but I wouldn't make this
never
again.
mind, the dog's eating it. Dog's eating it.
Oh, Rufus is eating it. Rufus! Do you like the beet burger?
What do you give it?
Tonight for dinner, we're gonna make tofu ranchero. I've had eggs ranchero before. I guess it's more like an egg shakshuka. Anyway, this is tofu ranchero. You get it, it's the end of the day. My brain's a little mushy mush. So what's interesting about this recipe is that you take your diced tomatoes and you drain them. Just get in there and squish it with your hands. So we want to get as much of this liquid out of the tomatoes as possible, otherwise they're not going to get charred up in the oven. So make sure we're keeping that liquid. I got it a little bowl under there, you can't see it. I recommend doing this over top of your sink in case you're messy like I am. You hold on to the liquid because you're going to want that. And then we're going to mix that with some chopped green chilies. You can get it in a can in your grocery store. This is what mine looks like from the grocery store I got it at. It says we're going to combine that with olive oil, except I'm going to swap that out with aquafaba and some lime juice and some chili powder. And then we're going to mix that all together. We're going to cut out the cloves and the onions from this recipe because Wooly is on low FODMAP right now. But that would be a lot of extra flavor that we're not going to have in our meal. So we'll try to adjust our review accordingly. But we're trying to make things so that Wooly can eat them. Just know that it'll pack more flavor in if you don't omit those things. And then we are going to take that tomato mixture and put it into the oven at 500 degrees Fahrenheit for, I think it says 35 to 40 minutes until it gets little charred spots on it. While that's happening, we're gonna cut up our tofu and then we're gonna pat it dry. Fun fact! The tofu I'm using for this has been pressing already because this is stuff that Wooly made. If you want to know more about how to make your own tofu from scratch, we have a video that I will link to down in the description below where we showed you how to do that as well as make your own yogurt and soy milk. It says to fry it on like a skillet, but I'm just gonna put it in the air fryer. Before you put it in, you put a little bit of chili powder on as well, and you sprinkle it with salt and pepper if you would like. And I'm gonna air fry that for probably like 10 minutes or so, just until it's got a little bit of a crisp to it. So once everything is kind of ready to go, we're gonna take that tomato mixture, put it into a skillet with that reserved tomato water, and we're gonna turn it into a bit of a sauce, and then we're gonna add in our tofu. And we're gonna let that kind of thicken a little bit for a couple minutes, and then you can serve that with whatever you want. You can put some green onion on top, you could add some avocado to it, and then you could serve it with some tortillas, little corn tortillas, which is I think what we're gonna do, but you could also just use corn chips. I can't imagine this not being a huge winner in our house. This is all the stuff we love. I've been wrong before. So we're in the edit suite.
Yeah, I just popped in.
So I realized that my camera made a malfunction while I was recording our feedback for this recipe, and we don't have the audio for it. But what we remember of this recipe was that it was very spicy.
But flavorful.
But very flavorful. So I think we
Really?
liked it, but it would require some tweaks for us. I don't remember what we all rated it. We recorded this a few weeks ago now. So I'm just going to, let's just say it's a blanket B+, because that's probably the average grade for our family. Or maybe even an A. But I remember liking it a lot, but the spice was a bit much for us.
And it also, we didn't say this, but the amount it made, didn't really, if we had been, if it wasn't as spicy and we'd all eaten it, we would have been hungry, I think. You'd need a side, a big veggie side or more tofu or I feel like it wasn't quite enough food either.
Yeah, so let's just call it an overall B+ for our family. And apologies, we often don't lose footage, at least not the audio.
It happens.
It happens. We're humans. Bye.
Bye.
So for tonight's dinner, we're gonna make this spicy peanut rice noodle bowl. We've made things like this before, Wooly, but this one's a bit different because it has you pickling the carrots by just grating them and putting rice vinegar in it.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, I thought you were just talking.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to tell if you're talking to me or the camera.
It's a little bit of both. So you pickle the carrots. So for the noodles here, it says not to cook them, just to put boiling water over them and leave them. That's interesting. I haven't done it before. So the kind of noodles we have here are far from the kind of noodles they recommend or that I would normally get for this. But our grocery stores here in Toronto, for some reason, have been out of those wide noodles for the last couple of weeks. We've not been able to find them anywhere we've gone, which is bonkers. So we're using vermicelli noodles, which is not ideal, but it's what we got. And then the rest of it is basically just cooking the edamame on the stove and then making the sauce on the side. So I forgot to tape it, but this is the chilies and the ginger and the curry. I thought it was rolling, sorry. Anyway, I'm excited for this curried peanut sauce. It's a little bit different than any peanut sauce we've made before. And I'm gonna keep it pretty much to what it calls for, other than swapping out the vegetable oil with some aquafaba. The only thing we'll be omitting from this is the garlic. As I've mentioned before in this video, Willie is doing a little FODMAP, so no garlic or onions this week. Hopefully that doesn't affect it too much. There's lots of ginger, so that should do the trick. So this recipe is strange. It has you add in 1.25 cups of water, which seems like a lot, and then with the sauce to cook it down. So I'm just boiling it down now. And then you just put these noodles in your bowl and you top with your edamame and your cabbage and your pickled carrots.
That's weird. The noodles are gonna be like mushy.
Yeah, the noodles are gonna be mushy because we have the wrong noodles because that are.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what rice noodles you use if you're boiling them like that.
Well, I don't mean to be boiling them again, but it says it only takes a minute in the book, but that's nonsense. Like if you add 1.25 cups of water and expect it to disappear, it's thick enough. It's just this is a weird. I realize these are the wrong noodles, but either way, it's still strange. Strange to add that much water. That just seems like a lot. Anyway, this is gonna be fine. This looks like shredded wheat right now. The sauce is kind of there. I just wouldn't have.
I wouldn't add water.
I wouldn't have added the water at all. It was such a bad call. I don't know why they asked you to do that. It's so weird.
But it's my kind of dinner. But it's not gonna be very filling.
I would have added tofu to this. And lost the edamame. I don't know. Kind of a C for me. It's fine, but this is, I don't know. B- maybe. No, I'm gonna say it's a C. I would never make this again. It's just a bad recipe. But there's good elements to it. I like the sauce, but the way they have you use it is bad. The sauce is like an A for me.
There's a stone in my.
Yeah, it calls for stones too. Why do you put stones in a recipe? Anyway.
Is that stone or my tooth?
Don't put your tooth on the table.
Tastes like peanuts. It's mad. Doesn't really have that many flavors. It's a B.
Yeah, it's a B. But I like it. I just like this kind of flavor. Peanut, vinegary.
So boring. And my carrots are like really tangy.
They're pickled.
I guess. I don't really. That was supposed to be like a peanut butter pasta or something. The sauce needs more stuff. It's just flat.
Okay. This one's a weird one.
I don't know. I like it.
Okay. Let's see if the raspberry bars for dessert fare any better. So today for dessert, I'm making raspberry strudel bars. I'm a big fan of raspberry strudel bars. I had these things growing up my entire life. They usually had them at funerals, which is a weird thing to say, but that's usually where we ate them. So this is an interesting recipe. I'm gonna swap out the tons of coconut oil, like 3/4 cup, with tahini and hope that does the binding thing it needs to do. It calls for just jam, but I'm gonna make a chia jam. So I'm making it a little bit on the stove here, but if you wanna see the full recipe, I will overlay it here from a previous video we did. Basically, we're gonna combine this kind of flour topping. And you can use whatever flours you want. You can use a gluten-free flour like us or whole wheat flour. This recipe calls for an all-purpose flour, which we're not going to use, obviously. So combine that with all this other stuff into a food processor and let it pulse for a little bit. Then you're going to take out about 1.25 cups of that mixture, and then you're going to use the rest as the base for the streusel, and you're going to bake that at 375 for like 14 to 18 minutes until the edges start to brown a little bit. And then you are going to take that jam you made and you're going to mix it with some other raspberries and a little bit of lemon juice and stir it all together. It's interesting, this only called for 1/4 cup of raspberry jam to be added, but as you can see, it's like I'm spreading it pretty thin. I used more than it called for, but a cupful, and I think any less wouldn't have been enough. Then to make the streusel for the top, you use that reserved flour mixture, and you're gonna add some pecans, a little bit more sugar, and some oats to that. Make sure it's rolled oats. Pulse that together. I ended up finding that it wasn't quite enough stickiness for my liking, so I added some more tahini to it, and it made it a bit more clumpy. But it made way more than I needed. I have all this left over, so I'm gonna put that aside for like, I don't know, on top of cereal or muffins or ice cream or granola. I don't know. Now we're gonna bake this for about 25 minutes or so until it starts to get a little bubbly and brown on top. I'm a little worried that this is gonna be a bit crumbly because we didn't use the oil, but tahini should do the job. We'll see. No.
I see what you're doing.
What are you doing?
Not the big one.
Hey, that's mine.
I see what you're doing hiding that. You can get your own.
Oh, why are you hiding the big one?
No, that's not even the big one. The big one's still on the tray.
Ew. No, ew.
It's not good.
It just tastes like almond butter.
There's no almond butter in it.
It tastes like I'm eating really dry toast with almond butter on it.
And he's going for a second bite. And he likes it. But F for you? Okay.
It needs to be sweeter.
More jam.
More jam? Yeah, I know. I put more jam than that called for.
Oh my god, what is this cookbook?
A B.
A B? Yeah.
It's dry because it needs more jam.
I just dry. I got really good. But yeah, it's like too dry.
And I put on less streusel than it called for. It called for less liquid and more dry.
And it's like a little bitter. I think that's tahini, maybe.
Probably. It called for coconut oil.
I know. It might have been better with almond butter, actually.
Tastes like almond butter.
It tastes like tahini, and it's super dry.
Same thing. See? F.
No, I think it's a C. Like I like the idea of it, but I think it could be improved.
And it smells so
So
sour.
you won't have the
There's not-
leftovers?
There's not even any sweet in it.
I need a little sweet, maybe even a little salt, just a tiny bit, just to.
And when I want one of those bars, I need the streusel to be flavored also, not just dry.
Yeah, you can't really taste that.
It's
Yeah.
supposed to be like sweet also.
Yeah.
There's sweet. There's sugar in it.
Can't taste it.
Yeah, even if you mixed like did a date puree mixed with it, just to sweeten it.
Oh, yeah.
up
Oh,
as
we
well.
know how to make this stuff. We make our own.
And yeah, that stuff's good. But like, real sugar is better.
Yeah, we can make a way better version of this, I think. Yeah.
Jeremy now sits with the dog on the floor. His spot.
I was bad earlier. Rufus, you want some? He won't even touch it. Look at him. This is how much this dog does not like animal food, human food. Not even interested. Nothing. Any other dog would gobble that down. Yeah, God, I wish this was so much better. I love the idea of these desserts. And I know if I put the coconut oil in, it would help a little bit.
I don't know.
But the
It wouldn't
jam's
add
not good.
flavor.
It needs double the amount of jam. At least.
I think you should make these again and improve it.
I can make a way better version of this, and I
Do it.
should because I love this kind of dessert, and we never make it.
Because the base is actually good, like it's solid.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more the jam and the topping
No.
could be improved. The base is pretty good. It's actually not that crumbly.
Let me know in the comments if you want me to make a improved whole food plant-based version of this.
Yes, do it. Why do you need to wait for people to comment?
Willie's already encouraging me.
I live with you. I should be the most important opinion.
You are. Tonight for dinner, we're making this butternut squash chili with quinoa and peanuts. We've made like an African stew before. In fact, we have our own recipe on our website, which I'll link to in the description down below. But I thought I would give this one a try because it's doing things in a way that's different from what we normally do. Normally we put peanut butter in. This just has roasted peanuts in it. Couple changes. Wooly is on a low FODMAP diet, like I've mentioned a few times. And this has a significant amount of onions and garlic in it. We're not omitting it completely. We're going to reduce it, though, significantly to like half what it's calling for. That might affect the flavor, maybe not. The other thing I screwed up is for one of the earlier recipes in this book, I needed these chilies and I used the jalapeno. So the jalapeno I needed for the soup is already in our tummies. So I'm hoping I can just use a few of these because otherwise I spent $4 for nothing. Also, this calls for 6 tablespoons of oil. That's 600 calories I'm going to pull out of this dish because why? Why do I need 6? So much. 4 of those tablespoons are just for roasting the butternut squash, which I'm just not going to use at all. I might toss a little bit of aquafaba on it, but it's like they'll roast on their own. Maybe I won't get that little caramelized burnty flavor to it, but I'm okay with that to not add that many more calories to my dish. If you want that, by all means, go for it. We're going to take a half a cup of that squash along with 2 cups of water and a quarter cup of peanuts, and we're gonna throw it in the food processor and we're gonna process that until it's smooth. Then we are going to heat up a pepper, some jalapeno, in this case these Thai chilies, just a few of them. So I'm not exactly sure how spicy these are, so I thought I'd just cut up a little piece and give it a rip. Not spicy at all. Alright, I'm gonna use 6 in place of a jalapeno.
6?
I don't taste any. You wanna try it? No. Doesn't taste spicy. It would have kicked in by now.
Eat the whole thing.
The whole chili?
Yeah.
With the seeds? Oh! Oh! Ah! Ah! Oh! Oh! Ah! The tip does nothing.
Exactly.
Oh! What do I do? I don't know what to do. Chocolate? It burns so much. Because I ate the tip and it didn't hurt. Now it hurts. Ow!
We're gonna put 6 of those in our dinner.
I'm not putting 6 in there. I don't know what else. I gotta do something. What do I do? I'm gonna have some yogurt. Yogurt will help, right? Oh, the yogurt helped a little. Oh, how do I make it go away? Look how many is in here. This is insane. Why would anyone do this? Ugh. Until they soften a little bit, not very long, and then we are gonna add in the ginger, a little bit of garlic, and the spices, and then we're gonna cook it for another 30 seconds, just until it's nice and fragrant. After that, we're gonna stir in the tomatoes, some coconut milk, and then the quinoa, and then the rest of the water, and then we're gonna bring that to a boil. And we're gonna bring it down to a simmer and stir it just until the quinoa is nice and tender, about 15 minutes or so. Then we're gonna stir in the rest of that vegetable little blender mixture we made of the vegetables and the peanuts and whatnot. This recipe also calls for an insane amount of salt. It calls for 2 teaspoons, which is a lot. Ephraim says I should put 2 tablespoons of salt in. This is why Ephraim doesn't cook for us. Anyway, I'm gonna reduce that to like a half a teaspoon because that's just an insane amount of salt and sodium. And then we're gonna season it to taste and top it with a little bit of cilantro. All right, let's try this out.
I like it.
Yeah?
A little bit hot. I burnt my tongue.
Like
But the flavors are nice. I've got a little bit of spice, but not too much. But yeah, it tastes really delicious, and I think like even as it's sitting, it's getting thicker. I think it's gonna be really nice tomorrow, actually. Even nicer. But it's spicy, but not overly spicy. And it has flavors that I like. like coconut milk, and if you blended the tomatoes, it would be an S.
Damn, that's a lot of cilantro you put on, Annie.
Are you cilantro shaming me?
Yes.
It came off.
Oh, I don't want
It's
to.
so hot.
Darth Annie. Join the soup.
Be nice if you have some like garlic or something in it.
There is garlic in it. I just put less in it because Mummy's. Yeah, it does traditionally call for a little bit more garlic.
I don't want it.
That means I cannot eat it again until I retire and the kids are out of the house.
You don't like it at all, Annie?
Not really. I want a different dinner.
So it's an F for you? What are you adding to it?
Garlic powder.
Mm.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What? What?
That's
Oh,
a lot
mix it up.
That's a lot of garlic.
No, maybe
no.
Spoon it out. Don't do that.
Do you want some?
Yeah, throw a little bit in mine. There's peanut in it.
Okay, yeah, it's way better. The garlic helps.
Yeah?
Gives it more flavor. And it makes it a little bit spicier. B+. It doesn't like... It's not quite at an A for me. But like, it's past a B.
You'd happily have this again?
Yeah.
Oh, there's the heat from before, but in a pleasant way, not attacking my tongue and making me angry. Yeah, the spice comes in at the end.
Garlic?
No, you know what's missing for me? Lime.
Oh yeah, that.
A little fresh lime on there. I don't think we have any.
Yeah, we do.
Fresh lime? It's kind of like our African stew, but lighter in a weird way. And like fresher. Right? Like ours feels really earthy, where this feels fresher for some reason. I don't know what it is. I like it. It's different than ours. All right, want to try with lime?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, it was missing,
Maybe this is what it was missing for me.
missing something acidic. With the lime, it's an S. Otherwise, it's a solid A for me.
Oh, I put too much lemon, but it's an A now.
Now it's an A. Evie bumped it up to an A. Yeah, so with lime, it's a bit better for us. There we go. So what were our final thoughts on Vegan for Everybody by America's Test Kitchen? So similar to how I was kind of critiquing this book, saying it should just be called The Standard American Test Kitchen, this book kind of falls into that category as well. It's not that it's bad by any means, it's just not necessarily the healthiest. So if you're not the kind of person that is apt to making your own swaps, I don't know if this book is going to be helpful for you. There's a lot of stuff in here. It's pretty generic stuff. So if you've already got a bunch of plant-based cookbooks, I don't know if this is going to add anything new to your repertoire. So it's a tricky one. I don't necessarily recommend it for people that are new to eating whole food plant-based. If you're just eating vegan or plant-based, maybe it's definitely a borrow for you. I don't know if I could call this a buy for anyone though. I think it's a borrow at best. But for me, it's a bypass. And I don't like saying that on the channel. There's very few books here that we have bypassed. If you disagree with me and you do want to buy this book, it's in our creator cart down below, along with all of the other cookbooks that we have reviewed here on the channel. And if you've missed any of those videos, we have a playlist down on the channel that you can check out and catch up on all of our recipe review videos. We've even been doing some compilations as people have asked for them. If you enjoyed this video and think YouTube should share it with other people, please hit that like button and subscribe to get more content like this one right here that YouTube has all queued up just for you. They've swept through all of your content and what you've watched and what you didn't like, and they said, this is the one. So stick around for one more, just one more.